busy time to you with lots of accolades, lots of awards.
Yeah, it's been very exciting. Yeah, no, it's been quite overwhelming. I don't think we were expecting all of this glory, but no, it's been so amazing.
Studio Brassica, where did it all start?
So we met
Hmm.
at the Welsh School of Architecture when I was doing my masters and Claire was in her final year bachelor's, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, we then since went on into different practices, and we're lucky to get quite a broad range of experience on site and working at different scales.
So what kind of practices?
I think both of us have had quite a wide range. Like, I think I started off with a really small practice in my part one, which gave me a really good grounding, I felt, because you sort of heard everything that was going on in the office, which was really nice. And sort of saw through a few different projects through different stages of construction and early stages.
I was actually at Hampshire County Architects in Winchester for my part one, which was really great. It was it had everyone in one building, which was really fantastic from coming out of university and not quite understanding how all of it fits together.
So the other disciplines as well.
Yeah. So we had structural engineers, quantity surveyors, and planners, and so it was a really helpful way of piecing it all together. As well as, amazingly, in the 1 year that I was there, I saw a project sort of all the way through from start to end, which was just really useful, because I think before that it's quite abstract when you're at university. You don't see those sorts of stages and just understanding what tender is and all of that and how that works.
So what would you say is your style then? Your practice?
I mean,
have you got a style?
I don't think we've necessarily got anything that we'd say is a style, but I think we definitely we love working on existing buildings. I think there's a real
I guess we really like celebrating the sort of unique features of the existing buildings as well, and sort of
making the best of the sort of the context and the buildings that we have, and trying to do, I guess, as little as possible with as maximum like outcome and improvement. And I don't know, I think we definitely are drawn to textures and colours and playfulness, and like looking at things in quite sort of maybe innovative ways. I think
you can certainly see that. Those are some of the things that I think. So what about kind of the more kind of social aspects of architecture?
That's been a theme for sure that's run throughout probably all of our projects, just having an element that improves whoever's life it is there, and actually
working really closely with
the
person's particular needs, and in many cases that has been some kind of accessibility issue for what some of the clients, whether it's like sort of bad back issues or elderly or something.
And currently I'm working on a really nice project for someone who has she's got profound autism, and so just kind of being able to create spaces that will work for her specific needs as well. But I think probably, I don't know, my mum's always had, since I've known her in her 20s, she's had fibromyalgia, which is a chronic pain, chronic fatigue thing. And so I've sort of lived with seeing what she's had to go through in terms of it's so important having spaces that help rather than hinder. And it's amazing how, even though a lot of spaces now have been improved, there's been so many scenarios where we've always been having to go around the back of the building because that's where the ramps are, and actually it really, I don't know, it really affects your user experience to always feel different, and so I think I've been very mindful of that, and how when we have visited places that have really considered it, how it's just so nice to feel part of everything and not have to sort of plan everything around your disability.
So how did it come about? Client?
So it's got quite a sort of, it's quite an odd project. It's a very personal project. So it's actually where my granddad was brought up. So it was for, and then it was sort of built for my extended family. So my extended family now use that space. And so sort of for my uncles, aunts, and my mum, it was converting just over
Yeah.
during the job.
Yeah. So yeah, they'd been. I think the building. It's quite an amazing place. It's all Grade 2 listed. There's a main house, and then there's this stable block which had unfortunately been falling into disrepair. So it was really nice. Yeah, that was something we made sure we retained those little peepholes, which is now where we've got the new stair running up.
So like my dad, my uncle was sort of born there, and my dad was there during the war with a load of evacuees during that time as well. So there's a lot of history on the site as well, and a lot of memories in terms of that, which was a big part, which became a big part of actually what we wanted to do with the project in terms of retaining a lot of those sort of features. It's in this amazing setting, but actually the existing building really turned its back to the countryside, and so there's amazing views over the Black Mountains. You've got like the Sugarloaf and the Skirrid just behind.
So yeah, I guess a big part of the brief, or what we were trying to achieve with the building, was being able to open up those views whilst being respectful to the original building, which was actually very much house looking rather than view looking. And so by introducing the extension, we were able to it did an amazing number of things actually, just that move of putting the extension on, because it was like a bolt-on sort of set of all the modern things that you need, really, like with the air source heat pump equipment, and also enabling lots of big punching views out, and also the accessibility.
Created an accessible entrance from the rear, but then linked the three main spaces together without creating kind of a route through. So you left the original spaces as their sort of original volume and feel, which was really nice, but you have this modern kind of bolt-on thing at the back.
Yeah.
But yeah, that really opens it out to its kind of landscape and the fields and the donkey.
Yeah. The critical donkey. Yeah.
So we actually didn't. The actual original horse stables have been continued to be used quite well. They've been rented out, and there's been horses in there throughout. So that part of the building we actually left as it was. So you're living, but we converted the sort of left-hand side only. So you're sort of living side by side with the horses, which is really nice. You see them out in the field, and then you can sort of hear faint sort of tip-tapping at night.
Obviously, you talked Grade 2 listed buildings, kind of arts and crafts style.
Yeah.
Heritage planning.
Yes. No.
How was that? How long did it take?
It took a while putting together a pre-application, and we put together quite a detailed pre-application with quite a lot of information about how we were, sort of what we were trying to do to the building, how we were trying to respect the original hierarchy of the elevation and things like that.
And I think that really, really helped actually, having that sort of really good pre-app where it showed we obviously were really invested in the building and preserving it, and although we were changing its use, ultimately it was, I think, quite quickly the heritage officer.
So you had a
we had a pretty positive.
We had a really. It was really. It was really nice.
Things that we had to sort of iron out, and issues as you kind of expect.
It wasn't
because we
plain
were proposing
sailing.
some quite relatively dramatic things, I guess, within that building. But what was really good was we were able to have some face-to-face meetings and talk that through.
I think that was really key, because I know working in London boroughs and elsewhere, you aren't often given that opportunity to have those face-to-face conversations, and working with buildings is often very nuanced, and so it's really hard to fully capture everything in words and writing, and even if you do, the authorities don't have the resources or time to necessarily be able to understand it all. And so I think what definitely helped us save a lot of important sort of bits to the design was us having this sort of emergency meeting. Like, we had to race down in our car because we just had we didn't have to, we chose to, I guess, but I think it was really good that we did, because we wanted this.
Because there was I think just before we actually got the planning decision, there were a few curveballs that were thrown in which hadn't been raised during the pre-app. We didn't quite understand where they were coming from, but actually when we were able to meet and talk them through, sometimes it was just
sometimes it was like them maybe not fully understanding the way something was represented on the drawing, or it actually, quite a lot of the things that they were worried about were not actually necessarily big issues, and we were able to demonstrate in that meeting by showing some other precedents and other things.
Building on that support and trust, we with them helped throughout the build process. So we had a lot of conditions that we needed to discharge through that, but we were able to have that discussions with them about exactly what they would need to discharge different bits and have
So there are a lot of
conversations.
kind of ecology issues, I'm
Yes.
assuming.
Yeah.
Location.
So this was like the first time I guess we'd actually worked with a project with quite so much wildlife, and there was quite a few bats present in the building, and we'd had a bat survey which you have to do pre-planning, which give us an indication of how many bats there were. And then you have to be very careful to get your license in place when you're actually getting to be on site. So we've got our license to disturb all in place for a set number of species and bats. We had a great ecologist help us do that. But what was a bit tricky was, I guess the planning ecologist only did up to the planning bit, and then they said, oh, we don't do the license bit, so we had to have a completely separate ecologist for that. And then when they actually came on site, which was the day of the roof tiles being taken down, she, without even using any of her equipment, said there's loads more bats here than the original survey said. And so we were then in a very awkward position because
we had to basically amend the license.
But NRW was so busy at the time that they turned off their phones so they wouldn't receive any calls. So we were in this position of like, we'd already had issues getting the roofers. It was sort of during the pandemic and things, and they were very busy. And so it's like, this day really is pivotal to getting this job through. It could have, I think we were right at the end of a hibernation or something.
Kind of brings out, people, isn't it?
It really is, and our ecologist Erica was fantastic at having a real practical kind of.
But because we had to because we had more bats, we had to work out new mitigation measures to enhance what we were previously proposing to make it better for the bats in the future. And I think we worked with Erica quite well and looking at where we could make spaces within this listed building, because you've got to balance the ecology with the heritage items as well. And I think we came to some really good solutions actually, and it's quite nice that the bats are thriving now in that space.
It was great. I think it really could have put that project on hold by another 6 months or something.
And it's just a huge, because this was the chance that we were like altering the fabric, making new openings. This was the chance we had to sort of really wrap it in insulation and get it to the best sort of thermal sort of performance that we could. But you're with a existing building, you are balancing that with sort of risks of damaging it, because you're sort of changing the way the building has been working for the last 100 years or so. With the air source, it's been really successful, but it's been one of the interesting learning curves for us on the project, is the way that was worked, because it sort of actually got subcontracted to twice basically. So there was sort of the main contractor and then the MEP contractor, and then there was a air source heat pump contractor as well. So there were lots of different parties, and so I think meeting the performance.
How did that change your role then?
So we were, I mean, partly because it's something we're really invested and interested in. I think we went beyond probably the role of architect and started bridging into MEP roles, because we were learning about coefficient performances and how to get the best performance. We were really encouraging like the underfloor heating, people to make sure their loops were a lot tighter, because we need the air source heat pumps run at lower temperature, so it's important you have. So there was a lot that we were kind of catching, because I think a lot of the builders are more used to working with sort of, oil or things that will burn at a lot higher.
But so I think as an industry, as architects and contractors and everyone, we're all kind of learning quite a lot at the moment.